domestic workers are a huge part of South Africa's workforce, and it's often an unforgiving supply and demand industry. SweepSouth has conducted a survey that shows domestic workers are amongst the worst hit by debt and underemployment. Well, its CEO, Aisha Pandor, shed some light on this particular issue. She joins us now. Thank you so much for your time. Good morning to you, Aisha. I mean, this is your third annual report which you provide through SweepSouth. What have you found?
Thanks for having me, Tumelo. And yes, this is the third annual report that we've done where we look at the living and earning conditions of domestic workers in the country. And this year, we specifically looked at the impact of the pandemic on domestic workers across the country. And unfortunately, as expected and in line with what we've seen across the economy in the country, the impacts were quite severe. So many domestic workers in the country earning far less than minimum wage, a lot of that directly due to the inability to work during lockdown, and then having an increased burden. So the burden of care, of taking care of family members, many domestic workers having their partners or their family members who they were living with lose their jobs. And so them having to really take on an increased burden when it comes to caring for their families financially. I
mean, the stats are quite, devastating here. Just looking at them, Aisha, you had 80% of your respondents obviously saying that they had worked fewer hours. You mentioned that minimum wage, 74% of them saying they're earning less than 2.5. But while all of this is happening, the cost of living is still quite expensive for these domestic workers.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we were seeing really encouraging trends upwards in earnings for domestic workers prior to this year, prior to the pandemic. And so that's almost been reversed, where previously 63% of domestic workers across the country were earning over minimum wage. As you say, now 74%, especially influenced by the lockdown period, with 74% earning less than minimum wage. And then that being coupled with increased spending, so costs of food going up, costs of rental, people not being able to afford that because they're not working, and then obviously this again being exacerbated by more people being primary breadwinners at home, which suggests that many more people have their partners losing their jobs as well.
Now, being a platform that obviously provides opportunities for domestic workers, what has been some of the conversations, in-house, any strategies you have in place, especially post-COVID, to see how you can get these numbers back up?
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot that we can do. So it's from during lockdown, when domestic workers in the country weren't able to go to work, we put together a 12 million rand fund to try and support those who weren't able to go out and earn. And then post that, we've made a number of changes and will continue to make a number of changes to our platform to allow people who have had someone from SweepSouth, for example, work at their home. They're not able to go and work because either the customer who's using the service is not well, or the domestic worker, who we call sweep stars, who go out to work, are not able, not well. They have someone in their home who's not well. We've allowed people to, through our platform, continue to pay. And during lockdown and post-lockdown, we've really encouraged South Africans who are able to. We know that the impact on South African households across the board has been severe. So if people are able to, we encourage them to continue to pay their domestic workers. And then in addition to that, we've really tried to continue to lobby the public, lobby government to try and increase the support for domestic workers during this time.
Well, thank you so much, Aisha, for highlighting this issue. Aisha Pandor, the CEO of SweepSouth. All right, on the